Tonight on CTV News at 6, self-sufficient supercomputing. Alberta welcomes AI data centers that aren't a burden on the electricity grid.
Our priority is the well-being of Albertans and the reliability of the power they depend on.
Dozens arrested as police target a new outlaw motorcycle club setting up in the city.
We assessed that the presence of this club in Edmonton would pose a threat to our city.
And
more than a third of their caucus is up for recall, with more to come.
5 more UCP MLAs face recall petitions.
I think recall is good. I think this recall action will fail.
Cooler air just around the corner as daytime highs drop into the -5 to 10 range for the rest of the week.
CTV Edmonton, local breaking news with Jeff Hastings.
Good evening. The provincial government is making it easier for tech companies to open data centers as long as their operations don't draw power or water away from public infrastructure. CTV's Connor Hogg joins us now. And Connor, what kind of projects would fall under these new regulations?
Well, Jeff, the province says proposed AI data centers that are able to generate their own power will be prioritized going forward. AI data centers are large facilities that house computer processors that increase artificial intelligence processing power and data storage. The centers rely on large amounts of electricity and require cooling, often using water. The founder of Canadian-based firm Bocaron Security tells CTV News large data centers can consume as much water as a mid-sized municipality. The province says it's prioritizing projects that promise to power themselves so that a strain isn't put on Alberta's electricity grid or its natural resources. Utilities Minister Nathan Neudorf says fears about a so-called AI bubble are unfounded, as Alberta wouldn't be on the hook financially. Neudorf also says there's no need to worry about a future without AI, where large projects are left abandoned like Alberta's orphaned oil wells.
The way we're setting this up, where proponents bring the power that they need to use and they set up those agreements, Alberta itself is quite insulated against those potential futures. And if there are market ups and downs like there is with every market, again, it is not the public purse that is holding that responsibility. It's private investment.
The province says businesses, not the public, would pay for necessary transmission upgrades if they're needed. The province says it's basing its rules on issues raised in previous data center locations where centers drove up power costs and used large quantities of water. The province says the new rules will apply to projects going forward. Previous projects have been approved with existing grid capabilities factored in. According to the Alberta Electric Systems operator, 37 data load proposals are already in various stages of approval in Alberta, and to accommodate all of them would take twice Alberta's current power demand. The province says it's unrealistic to assume that all 37 of those projects will be completed. Jeff?
All right, Connor, thank you very much. What it means to be an Alberta whiskey will soon be defined by new legislation and a first-of-its-kind author. Artificial intelligence will write the bill draft in an effort to streamline some provincial government work. CTV's Tim Brooke explains how that will work and the implications.
Staff at Burwood Distillery are busy packing up Christmas cheer, and this year they're hoping for some extra recognition.
Well, right now we're producing some of the world's highest quality whiskey, but we're not telling that story on an international level.
Burwood will soon have a hand in developing the new Alberta Whiskey Act. It will define what's legally Alberta whiskey, things like ingredients, characteristics, and taste. It's a seemingly straightforward task for a human, so the bill's author may surprise you.
I'm actually really excited about the utilization of artificial intelligence in the drafting of this act.
The provincial government will prompt AI to draft the act.
What a better piece of legislation than the Alberta Whiskey Act. It doesn't involve any hearts or lungs. If AI gets it wrong, then we can use human writers that can correct it.
There will be some guardrails to ensure everything is accurate, and the Justice Minister will likely have the final proofread.
I'm not aware of a jurisdiction in Canada that has used AI to write legislation, so it only makes sense that we would go there first. because we're leaders in tech and innovation.
South of the border, some states have used AI for legislative reasons, but experts say in Canada there could be untapped potential.
And I think the opportunity here is how do we produce more effective legislation that takes into account big sets of data.
Of course, there's a chance this act needs to be researched and written twice over if AI can't stay factual or legally airtight. But if it does go according to plan,
this is a moment where expectations are going to be set around what AI systems are going to be used for and how they can be used by lawmakers to be able to shape Canadian precedent.
Expect to see the Alberta Whiskey Act tabled in 2026. Tim Brooke, CTV News, Calgary.
The government hasn't yet selected which software it will use to draft the Alberta Whiskey Act. It says it will steer clear of ChatGPT. Elections Alberta has approved another 5 recall petitions. That brings the total number of UCP MLAs who could face a recall vote to 14. Norman Issa explains the other steps needed before that could happen.
I think recall is good. I think this recall action will fail.
Yes, I am one of them. Obviously, I'm not very comfortable with it, but I feel like I'm a very hardworking MLA.
Recall petitions were issued for 5 more UCP MLAs on Tuesday, making 14 UCP MLAs so far on the recall list.
So more than a third of their caucus is up for recall with more to come. I don't know how successful these petitions will be, but certainly they are incredibly destabilizing.
Process-wise, we've gone through, stamped it.
The recall petitions are handled by the Elections Alberta team.
Our office is definitely busy with the intake of recall applications that have come across our desk.
Jennifer Muskowski says there are many steps after the petitions are issued. When an MLA recall petition is issued, the person behind the petition has 3 months to collect signatures in the riding that are equal to at least 60% of the votes cast in the 2023 election. If that happens and the signatures are verified, voters in the constituency will be asked, should the MLA be recalled? If more than half say yes, the MLA is removed from its seat and a by-election has to be held within 6 months. Earlier this month, Elections Alberta asked for more than $13 million to help with verification work. At the time, there were only 4 petitions. A legislature committee only agreed to $1.5 million more.
Elections Alberta does have an appointment in the coming weeks to present our budget to our standing committee, and so that's where we are.
The recall legislation will take some time for the next steps. Nair Misa, CTV News, Edmonton.
Some Alberta healthcare workers have reached a new collective agreement with Alberta Health Services. 66% of Health Sciences Association of Alberta members voted in favor of the agreement. The agreement covers more than 22,000 healthcare workers, including mental health and addictions counselors, social workers, paramedics, pharmacists, and psychologists, among others. The union says the new agreement includes a 12% wage increase over 4 years, enhanced medical benefits, as well as increased mileage and meal reimbursement rates. There's also a $54 million fund to retain and recruit workers in rural Alberta. More than 15,000 union members cast their ballots over the last 5 days. The province is moving forward with a new program for people with disabilities who want to join the workforce. The Alberta Disability Assistance Program would run alongside the existing Assured Income for the Severely Handicapped program known as AISH. ADAP will allow disabled Albertans who are able to work to gain employment while still receiving financial benefits. Social Services Minister Jason Nixon says the program is intended to expand opportunity.
We've heard the importance of providing pathways to employment for individuals who are able to work but still need the support of benefits. That's where ADAP comes in. It's a program built explicitly to support Albertans with disabilities who are able to work, empowering them with tools and resources they need to gain new skills and work to their full potential while continuing to receive the benefits that they need.
ADAP is scheduled to launch in July 2026. Nearly 20 people, police say, are connected to a new outlaw motorcycle club in Edmonton have been arrested. Police say the One Order MC is closely aligned with the Hells Angels and has chapters across eastern Canada. Drugs, guns, and cash were seized in raids at 40 locations in Alberta and BC by EPS, RCMP Alert, and BC Special Gang Unit.
We assessed that the presence of this club in Edmonton would pose a threat to our city. These are criminal organizations that are associated with trafficking in firearms and in drugs to the detriment of the safety of our communities.
This is one of the
7 people from Edmonton and the surrounding area face dozens of charges, including for firearms trafficking and commission of an offense for a criminal organization. The Edmonton Oilers play their first home game in more than 2 weeks tonight. While the Oilers return to Rogers Place, forward Ryan Nugent-Hopkins isn't ready to return from his injury. Head coach Chris Knobloch says Nuge could play Saturday against Seattle. Tonight, the Oilers face the Dallas Stars. Glenn Gulitson, who is an assistant coach in Edmonton for 7 seasons, is now the Stars' head coach. Knobloch says that won't change his game plan.
You know, I think there's a lot of coaches are familiar with what we do just because of how many times we've played against them.
You know, we got to come up with some new tricks that he doesn't know about. So, you know, I got to see him in Dallas a little bit. Always nice catching up. You know, you're certainly happy for, you know, his personal situation and becoming a head coach.
The Oilers lost to Dallas in a shootout earlier this month. Tonight's game begins at 7. Stuart Skinner will start in goal. Next year's Big Valley Jamboree will be headlined by a country music staple. Keith Urban will be back, joined by Old Dominion and Riley Green. Big Valley Jamboree takes place July 30th to August 2nd. Tickets are on sale now. And Marmot Basin will open to skiers and snowboarders tomorrow. The ski hill says it got more than 60 centimeters of snow over the last 3 days. Crews are grooming the upper and lower mountain, getting runs prepared. The ski hill is offering a number of deals this season, like free passes and rentals for kids and deals for families. That snow looks great, Josh. The cold is on the way now.
Yeah, still not much snow for us here in Edmonton this week. I think next week has a pretty good chance of seeing some snow, though. We'll get to that later in the newscast. Right now, temperatures sitting at -4 in downtown Edmonton. It has cooled pretty significantly since hitting +1 a few hours ago. We still haven't had a daytime high -1 or colder. In fact, we were 2 degrees above average today, -1 the average daytime high. Started the day at -9. Look at that. That's 20 days now with warmer than average temperatures. The coldest day, -0.1. Back on November 7th, that lone blue spot on the temperature calendar. Will be below 0 for daytime highs tomorrow, though, and through the rest of the month. Clear skies right across most of central and eastern Alberta through today. Back further to the west, we've had some clouds. We'll see a bit of that cloud cover slip through this evening. I think more clear sky than cloud cover, though, for the evening hours. Early tomorrow morning, that cloud cover thickens up a little bit. So mix of sun and cloud tomorrow, -12 in the morning, and -5 or -6 for a daytime high. Gets even cooler, highs near -10 for Friday and Saturday. And then a little bit of a warm-up to go along with some snow next week. We'll show you that with the 5- and 10-day forecast later in the newscast.
Thanks, Josh. Still ahead on CTV News at 6, a strategy for safer streets.
It's very concerning to see, especially the trend in the last 2 years.
The city's plan to crack down on bad drivers as Edmonton marks 31 traffic fatalities so far this year. Also ahead.
There has been a real impact to the amount of construction, and I don't see that changing anytime soon because of how rapidly we're growing.
The city wraps up the 2025 construction season. A look at what was completed coming up.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
The final season of Stranger Things premieres Wednesday. A local film professor analyzes the show's success, and ultra-processed foods declared a global danger. We talk about the risk and what to do about it.
Brought to you by Century Casino. 3 great locations: Edmonton, St. Albert, and Century Mile.
With the weather turning colder, it means Edmontonians will get a reprieve from some of the construction. $1.5 billion was spent on projects this year, from LRT expansion to bridges and roads to neighborhood renewal. Amanda Anderson reports.
Instead of cutting a ribbon, the tradition of uncoupling a fire hose marked the official opening of Edmonton's newest fire hall in Blatchford.
Now the formal handshakes are done, the plans are rolled up, the doors are open, the trucks are ready, and our watch has begun.
This emissions-neutral fire hall is one of nearly 60 projects the city completed, out of 200 that were in the planning, design, or construction stages at the start of the year.
Vast majority of those projects completed on schedule and on budget.
The city says 80% are on time, 90% on budget, but could not tell us which projects are behind or over budget. A few of the major projects completed include Warehouse Park and the Beaver Hills Bridge, with the Coronation Park Sports and Rec Centre among the projects almost done.
Edmontonians are also eagerly awaiting the completion of the William Howerlick Rehabilitation Project, which is anticipated to open early in the new year.
The city is also celebrating what it calls significant progress on the LRT lines from the Capital Line South to the Valley Line West.
And all 6 intersections that in that plan being reopened on or ahead of schedule. Many of the roads along the LRT alignment are now in their final permanent traffic configuration.
The mayor says so many construction projects happening at once is the result of years of underfunding and rapid growth.
We heard Edmontonians loud and clear. There has been a real impact to the amount of construction, and I don't see that changing anytime soon because of how rapidly we're growing and all of the renewal that needs to happen.
We're really working with industry and with all of our teams to really unlock those innovative approaches to find solutions that really allow for we know it's disruptive. How do we limit that disruption and be as efficient as possible in getting projects done?
Despite those efforts, there's no promises it won't be another bumpy road ahead next season. Amanda Anderson, CTV News, Edmonton.
The Coronation Rec Centre is expected to fully open at the end of January. Construction on the rec centre started about 3 years ago. The indoor cycling track opened last month. The rest of the facility will include a running track, different court areas, a dedicated spin studio, and bouldering wall. It will also integrate the Peter Hemingway Aquatic Centre. The city says this will make Coronation the first indoor triathlon training facility in North America that can support year-round training and events. It opens January 27th. 2025 has become the deadliest year on record since Edmonton introduced the Vision Zero traffic safety program 10 years ago. A city report blames population growth, driver behavior, and restrictions on photo radar for the spike in deaths. Jeremy Thompson reports now on what the mayor plans to do.
The city has a goal for safer streets. Guided by the global safety strategy Vision Zero, Edmonton aims to have no traffic deaths or serious injuries. But lately, those crashes have been increasing.
It's very concerning to see, especially the trend in the last 2 years.
The city began the Vision Zero program in 2015 after averaging 27 annual traffic deaths the decade prior. The strategy appeared to be making a difference, even outside of the record low deaths during the pandemic when fewer cars were on the road. The provincial government started bringing in restrictions on photo radar in 2019. A new report for council says in recent years, as speeding worsened, traffic deaths climbed, reaching 31 so far in 2025. The raw death totals don't tell the full story on traffic safety. The city report shows our population has grown by more than 200,000 people since 2017. The total number of licensed drivers is up more than 122,000 since the pandemic, and city data shows overall traffic volume is up more than 30% in just the last 5 years. The mayor says it all adds up to a different mindset for drivers.
More people driving in an unsafe manner. With the loss of things like photo radar, it feels like there are less consequences for people's actions on the road in terms of them being held accountable.
NAC's solution, a new traffic safety team of peace officers.
Work 7 days a week, morning to night, that can hold folks accountable for unsafe behavior.
Community standards peace officers already perform thousands of traffic stops each year. One option for the new team would quintuple the number of hours dedicated to catching speeders and distracted drivers, draining the city's photo radar reserve to do so. Council will debate the proposal during budget talks next week. Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Edmonton.
Still ahead, planning for the future.
Coastal Arctic is really a coastal story. We want to really focus on water.
What the Valley Zoo hopes to accomplish in the next 15 years, from refreshed enclosures for its current inhabitants to possible future ones.
Not much snow in the forecast, so it may not look all that colder over the next few days. It is certainly going to feel a lot colder, though. Talk more about that right after the break.
Programming brought to you by Basement Systems Edmonton. Contact us today for all things basement-y.
We taught all of you guys how to do a little bit of forecasting. And we have Ariana who's going to actually present some weather for us. So what do we know about the wind moving behind this low pressure system? It's coming out of the north, right? So that's going to cool us off more. And what about snow? Do you see any snow for us?
Go to the low pressure system. That means it's going to be cloudy.
Very good, cloudy. McLean, what would you like to tell us about the weather here? Come step in front of the weather boards.
Down here at the bottom map has the low pressure sign, meaning it will be cloudy.
Joe, step up to the map here. Tell us what's going on with the forecast.
So today, I think it looks like there's a bit of snow over here right now. Maybe a little bit of rain. Kind of cloudy in this region of the area. Also here. Kind of around like -3 degrees around our area.
Excellent work, Joe. Good job. Good job. Looks like I have some people ready to replace me when I go on holidays, hey? These are the grade 5s from? Good Shepherd. Smart kids here at Good Shepherd, pint-sized prognosticators, and you are...
CTV Weather Watchers brought to you by the Alberta Teachers Association. Strong schools equal a strong Alberta.
The Edmonton Valley Zoo's red pandas are enjoying their upgraded outdoor habitat, which is now open to the public. Plans are underway for other animals, including Lucy the elephant, to also see their spaces upgraded. CTV's Sasha Pietramala has more on the zoo's 15-year plan.
Kiki, the red panda, enjoys a snack in her recently refreshed enclosure.
That's my problem.
The upgrade, Himalayan-inspired, with new climbing structures, boulders, trees, and shrubs. More habitat upgrades like this are included in the Valley Zoo's new 15-year plan.
Animal well-being is the principal underlying theme and priority for this plan.
Improvements for the existing animals are just one part of the plan. It's also hoped the zoo can be home to many new species, with a particular focus on animals suited to the cold.
Coastal Arctic is really a coastal story. We want to really focus on water. We're looking at doing puffins and mures. We're looking at taking the zoo's already existing reindeer and Arctic foxes and doing an exhibit there.
An even bigger undertaking for the proposed coastal Arctic space, bringing in polar bears and sea otters. The plan includes a large habitat for these animals, with an indoor and underwater viewing area.
Most people love polar bears, and the chances of most of us getting to see a polar bear in our lifetime or care about them or contribute to them, unless you are going to the Arctic, you're most likely not going to see them.
One of the zoo's most beloved and controversial residents, Lucy, is also getting a new home. Officials say the 50-year-old elephant is moving to the space the Grevy zebras just moved out of. Construction to make this place Lucy-friendly is set to start this spring.
That means expanding her indoor facilities and her outdoor facilities.
The other improvements, which also include an aerial trail, education center, restaurant with a view, and parking lot revamp, are at least 5 years away and still need funding.
It's in the hundreds of millions of dollars, but again, that's why we've been strategic and are phasing the approach.
The Valley Zoos Development Society says by releasing this plan, it hopes to inspire both private and public investment. It says any funding request to council won't be until after the 2027-2030 budget cycle. Sasha Pietramala, CTV News, Edmonton.
All right, cooling off out there, but we're one of the warmest places in the province today.
Yeah, Milk River, way down in southern Alberta, south of Taber, 1.0 today. They edged us out by 0.3 of a degree. It was 0.7 here in the city. Temperatures have cooled since then to -4. Here's the view through the Action Furnace River Valley Skycam. Action Furnace, fixed right or it's free. Sky's still pretty clear out there. I think we'll see a little bit of cloud cover overnight tonight. Most of the clouds going to hold off until tomorrow, though. So +1 for a high here in Edmonton. Everybody else on this map below 0. Calgary at -4, -5 in Medicine Hat. So where you have all that heavier snow on the ground was considerably cooler than here in the Edmonton region. We do have a fog advisory. This has been issued for Cold Lake, Bonnyville, St. Paul regions. You're probably going to see some fairly dense fog through the rest of this evening and into tomorrow morning. Should start to ease a little bit mid-morning, but really even south into the Vermilion-Lloydminster areas, you're probably dealing with some fog overnight and early tomorrow. So keep that in mind if you're traveling in through that region. Could be a little soupy, near zero visibility at times in through those areas. Here in Edmonton, you can see the clouds are kind of breaking off to the west of us. They're still hanging back well to the west and northwest, but a little bit of that may slide through the overnight period tonight. Then tomorrow, by the morning hours, starts to thicken up. I think through the day, there's still some sunny breaks, so we'll call it a mix of sun and cloud. Clearer as you move further to the south, cloudier further to the north, and then some snow. Light flurries or snow in through northwestern Alberta late afternoon and through tomorrow night. Grand Prairie, Peace River, you may see a dusting to maybe a centimeter or two. As that drops off to the southeast, we're certainly looking at cloudy skies for Thursday in the Edmonton area. You notice how this isn't any big system that's coming through, but there's a chance we could see a few flurries to maybe a dusting by the end of the day Thursday here in the Edmonton area. That's not going to be the big snowfall, though. I think we have to wait till next weekend. Almost every single day next week has a chance of some snow. Here's what goes on for Friday. Heavy snow across southern Alberta, southern Saskatchewan. Again, it's the southern part of the province that'll get the heaviest of the snowfall. This Arctic high pressure system is bringing some colder air for Friday, Saturday. Highs near -10 here in the Edmonton area, and as that colder air drops to the south, I think that's going to keep all of those big snowfall accumulations well to the south of the Edmonton area. The Arctic high moves out by Sunday. Out ahead of this next system, you're going to push some milder air. It'll move out the -10 range daytime highs, get us back to about -4, -5 on Sunday, and then around, maybe even slightly above 0 on Monday. But look, you get a chance of some flurries Sunday, chance of some snow out ahead of that low pressure system Monday. There's Tuesday. Here's into Thursday and Friday, some more snow. Where exactly the heaviest of that snow falls and just how heavy it is, yet to be determined. It's a long ways out. It's only Tuesday of this week. But every single day next week has at least a chance. So if you would like to see some snow to go along with the colder temperatures, we may not have much snow on the ground by the start of next week, but by the end of next week, we should be covered in snow. We're at -4 in Edmonton right now. We'll slide to -12 tomorrow morning, get back to about -6 for a high tomorrow afternoon, -7 with that chance of flurries Thursday, and then -9 range for Friday, Saturday, out ahead of next week's snow.
Thanks, Josh. Coming up, peace talks for Ukraine. The proposals as heavy fighting continues, and
there may be a question about whether he's entitled to any of the money.
Lottery winner charged, accused of keeping a golden group ticket to himself.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law. Programming brought to you by Action Furnace. Fixed right or it's free.
We could be days away from an agreement between Alberta and the federal government to move forward on a new pipeline. Prime Minister Mark Carney will be in Calgary on Thursday. Sources say he and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith will sign a memorandum of understanding. CTV's Michael Couture has more on the proposed pipeline and British Columbia's strong opposition to it.
We fought successfully, I might add, so many pipeline battles in British Columbia.
A stern warning from the president of the Union of BC Indian Chiefs. His group is firmly behind coastal First Nations in opposing a pipeline in that region.
At the end of the day, if things go sideways, then we're out on the ground. We're at the designated sites.
Grand Chief Stuart Phillip wouldn't say if that could include rail and road blockades like those that sprung up in 2020 in support of the Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs who were protesting another energy project.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre wants to know when the signing of a memorandum of understanding with Alberta will lead to shovels in the ground.
On what date will construction begin on a pipeline from Alberta to the Pacific?
Prime Minister Mark Carney said that's not the point of the agreement.
The memorandum of understanding that we're negotiating with Alberta creates necessary conditions, but not sufficient conditions, because we believe in cooperative federalism. We believe the government of British Columbia has to agree. We believe that First Nations right holders in this country have to agree and support.
BC's premier is against a proposed pipeline, and one former deputy minister of the environment is concerned ecological impacts aren't being considered.
Last year, the world had 10 oil tanker spills, so this is a serious concern for the North Coast, and of course the impacts on climates.
While the Prime Minister was talking about collaboration with provinces, Minister of Natural Resources Tim Hodgson reminded Canadians that the ultimate jurisdiction for interprovincial pipelines rests with the federal government. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
In Washington, the White House is projecting optimism on a possible peace deal to end the war in Ukraine. But as the talks go on, so does the fighting. With more, here's CTV's Joy Melvin.
Even with peace proposals on the table, Moscow is not letting up. Overnight, hundreds of drones and missiles pounded Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. A massive, deadly attack. Officials rescuing children from an apartment complex. This after talks in Geneva produced a framework for a possible peace deal.
Today, our team reported on the new draft of steps, and this is indeed the right approach. I will discuss sensitive issues with President Trump.
Ukraine's president wants to meet President Donald Trump in the next few days to finalize details of a new 19-point plan, heavily modified from the original proposal that critics called a Russian wish list that had Ukraine handing over territory to Russia, slashing Ukraine's army, and renouncing NATO membership.
We have no compromise on the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine, no compromise on national identity on Ukraine, no compromise on the armed forces of Ukraine as a key security guarantee.
Washington insists these aren't insurmountable details, sending U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll to meet with Russian officials in the United Arab Emirates. But even after that red carpet rollout in Anchorage last summer, Russia's Vladimir Putin has not budged.
President Trump was not able to get anything from Russia. He was not even able to get them to come to a ceasefire, something that Ukraine agreed a while ago. And so while these negotiations happen, Russia continues attacking us.
Donald Trump weighing in, saying tremendous progress has been made, but says he'll only meet with President Zelensky and President Putin when the deal to end this war is final or in its final stages. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
One of Canada's most decorated Olympic athletes, swimmer Penny Oleksiak, has accepted a 2-year suspension for violating anti-doping rules. The 7-time Olympic medalist committed 3 whereabouts failures within a 12-month period, meaning she missed 3 mandatory drug tests. Oleksiak did not contest the violation ruling and agreed with the consequences. The 25-year-old is ineligible to compete from this past July through July 2027. Even though she agreed to the consequences, Oleksiak still has the right to appeal. A Toronto senior accused of claiming a $1 million lottery jackpot for himself instead of splitting the winnings with a group is now facing charges. CTV's Adrian Gobriel has more on the case that might alarm group lotto players.
The sweet sound of one lotto win may have turned into a multi-million-dollar scheme.
Winner, Gagnon.
A joint investigation by the Ontario Provincial Police and the province's Lottery and Gaming Corporation have led to charges that allege that this man, 70-year-old Alex Perucha from Toronto, falsely claimed a $1 million lotto win as his own when he should have split the winnings with 2 others.
At Lotto Max, you have a 1 in 33 million chance of winning.
In a news release touting the $1 million payday this summer, Perucha is quoted as saying, "I won a free play, so I went to the store to claim it." The next day, he reviewed his numbers and says, "I double-checked my ticket and counted the zeros. When I realized it was a $1 million prize, I was overwhelmed." The winning Lotto Max free play ticket with Encore, purchased here at this Toronto corner store, was claimed on July 2nd, 2025, and was paid out by the OLG.
When you go into the lottery office in Ontario, you're asked specifically, are you a member of a group? And if you say, no, I'm not, and then you sign that form, that's a false statement because it's a sworn statement.
The senior citizen has been charged with theft over $5,000 and fraud over $5,000.
The maximum penalty is 14 years in jail. Pretty serious stuff.
An email from the 70-year-old's lawyer in part states that Mr. Perucha categorically denies all allegations and charges related to the lottery ticket and maintains he has done nothing wrong, going on to claim the dispute involves complex facts that will be addressed through the proper legal process. Though if he's found guilty, his share of the winnings could go up in smoke.
There may be a question about whether he's entitled to any of the money.
If you're purchasing lotto tickets with friends and family, there are group forms that you can use. Mr. Perucha will plead his case in court on January 8th. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Canadian curling legend and TV personality Colleen Jones has died at 65. A two-time world and six-time Canadian women's champion, Jones appeared at the Scotties Tournament of Hearts 21 times and competed in the most Scotties games in the tournament's history. Her son posted online that Jones battled cancer for 3 years. Coming up, Eyes in the Sky.
That allows us to distinguish from natural signatures and human-made disruptions.
How a system meant to track space weather disturbances is also helping with northern surveillance.
Help us build a mountain of toys. Donate today at ctvedmonton.ca.
Taking a look at today's market numbers, the Canadian dollar held near 70 cents U.S. Oil was down 89 cents, closing the day at $57.95 U.S. a barrel. Gold gained $46.50. The TSX and Dow Jones both improved, up 296 points and 664. Tax information shows the federal government and provinces have taken in more than $5 billion in tax revenue since cannabis was legalized 7 years ago. The feds collected just over $1 billion. Alberta raked in more than $1 billion in tax revenue, second only to Ontario. Alberta also collected the most per capita tax revenue of any province, pulling in about $210 per person. The next closest number was the Northwest Territories. It collected nearly $136 per person in tax revenue. The information was made available after a Conservative MP requested a breakdown of cannabis revenue. Automaker Stellantis says it will bring back a third shift to its Windsor, Ontario assembly plant in February. Stellantis says the move will lead to the creation of 1,400 jobs. The shift was eliminated 5 years ago. Workers who were recently laid off from the Stellantis plant in Brampton will have the first chance to apply for the new jobs. Workers were laid off after the automaker decided to move its Jeep Compass production to Illinois. The University of Calgary has spent decades developing a space weather network. Now it's collaborating with Canada's military, the U.S. Navy, and NATO to help with defense operations. CTV's Mark Villani explains.
High above the Arctic, defense operations are well underway. And in the NORAD Situation Room, there's little room for error. Space weather, solar storms, and disturbances in the upper atmosphere can all impact satellite signals and radar.
We're really looking to get at the dynamics of those larger space processes.
It's why the University of Calgary spent more than 4 decades developing its space weather network across Canada and the northern United States, building 22 high-frequency sensors. Resembling big metal umbrellas, they track how radio waves and high-energy auroras are absorbed above the Earth. That data supports defense operations, determining if GPS or satellite signals are disrupted for critical infrastructure.
We're looking for breadth of coverage right now, so that we can talk about phenomena that are evolving in the higher Arctic versus those that are occurring at lower latitudes.
That allows us to detect jamming, spoofing, other forms of anomalous behavior in Canada's near-Earth space environment.
The sensors, known as hyperspectral rheometers, span across the prairies and far into the north, with extensions into Yukon and Alaska. Each one has several receivers, expertly soldered and installed by UCalgary researchers.
So we can see here we have this little guy.
Grad student Shakira Gadawan is specifically looking at how signals travel through the ionosphere, using instruments to identify whether they're human-made or naturally occurring. She says each signal has its own unique signature to figure out where it's coming from.
For example, I'm like, okay, this signature belongs to Yellowknife, or this belongs to the signal from Colorado. And then I know the distance from my receiver to that place of signal propagation.
And that extra bit of knowledge hopes to go a long way into modernizing Canadian defense.
We're going to get a larger scale view into the space environment than we've ever had.
Mark Villani, CTV News, Calgary.
Story time at a local school featured a familiar face from the green and gold.
Did I write it? No, I'm an athlete, not an author. Hands.
Edmonton Elks defensive back coach Aaron Grimes read "Not Without My Teammates" to the kids at St. Maria Goretti. The special appearance is part of Read-In Week, an annual event across Edmonton schools promoting literacy and a love of reading.
I think it's important to let these kids know that no matter how old they get, to continue to read, exercise their brain, and just expand their knowledge.
When a special guest comes in and reads something new, it's a novel for the students, and they really enjoy being able to hear people's perspectives on how much they liked reading when they were growing up and how they feel about the story that they brought.
Read-In Week is usually the first week of October. It was postponed this year due to the teacher strike. Still ahead, Strike a Pose.
It's an ode to a dying art.
Hitting 100 years of the much-loved analog photo booth.
Programming brought to you by Southview Acura. Experience the elegance of the all-new Acura ADX.
When we think of selfies, we usually think of cell phones, but the device that first let people casually take self-portraits is much older than that. The photo booth is turning 100 years old. ABC's Danny New has more on the history and renewed efforts to preserve it.
An experience that's hard to come by these days.
Amazing.
Getting your picture taken in a vintage analog photo booth.
It's an ode to a dying art. This marks the centennial of the invention of the photo booth.
Bree Conley-Saxon here is one of the last photo booth technicians on Earth. And even though there are less than 300 analog photo booths left worldwide,
So these are all my booths in the U.S.
She just opened up a New York gallery called Auto Photo where you can step inside some of her collection.
This is our oldest booth. It's the Model 9.
For example, there's the Model 9 here, which is close to 80 years old.
Do I do this?
No.
Don't shake it.
And the Polaroid booth you saw earlier, which Bree believes is the only working one left on the planet.
One more.
Whoa. After taking many pictures, we got a behind-the-scenes look at exactly how these classic booths actually developed our strips. As you can see, it's basically a little dark room back there.
When does it get my face?
You're in toner, so that'll be here.
That's why when your photo finally comes out, it's a little wet. However, while getting your picture taken is fun, what may be the most impactful part of the museum
One of the original cameras from the inventor
is the exhibit on the inventor, Anatole Josepho, who invented the photo booth in New York 100 years ago this year.
This is a 100-year-old photo of the inventor and his dog.
She even has an authentic century-old photo strip of Anatole and his dog, which, for Bree, kind of sums up her whole mission here.
Your photo lasts a lifetime, beyond your lifetime. It's a memory, it's history, it's, something to cherish and hold on to forever.
In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
When's the last time you were in a photo booth?
We had one at our Christmas party.
Oh!
Except I think it was digital, though. I don't think it was analog, but the result was similar.
My kids still love those.
Yeah.
It's the only way they actually have a picture to hold instead of just
whatever works.
Flipping through it. -12 tomorrow morning, -6 tomorrow afternoon with the mix of sun and clouds. So the cool down begins tomorrow, sticks around right through to the end of the weekend, although Sunday will be a little bit milder than Friday, Saturday, where we get highs near -9. Thursday, that chance of flurries looks pretty insignificant. But next week, chance of snow every single day. Mild temperatures, but finally it looks like next week we'll start to see some snow on the ground.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Josh, and thank you very much for sharing your time with us. For news anytime, ctvnewsedmonton.ca. See ya.